Good morning and welcome. My name is Joe Mulligan. I'm the band director here at Reading Memorial High School. This is Reading Memorial High School Jazz Band. I don't usually like to talk during events like this, but I think we need to explain a little bit of what the jazz band is going to play this morning. The first piece, are you going to speak? Sorry. The first piece that we're going to play this morning is called Manteca, which was written by Dizzy Gillespie in 1947. And it's the first piece of Afro-Cuban music that we have, which is a combination of music that was influenced both by West African music and by Cuban music. Dizzy took his big band to Europe in the early 1950s and had a very successful tour and was treated very well, and they just loved going to Europe. When Dizzy came back, the first place that he went was Georgia in the early 1950s. And he was struck by how differently his band, which was a primarily all African-American band, was treated in his own country, how negatively they were treated versus how well they were treated in Europe. And what Dizzy Gillespie did is he actually added some lyrics to this particular piece. And the lyrics are, "I'll never go back to Georgia." That was not part of his original composition, but just after seeing the Jim Crow laws that were going on down in the South at that time, he felt like he had to say something. Our next piece after that will be a piece by Oliver Nelson, which the title really sort of says it all. It is, "I hope in time a change will come." Ultimately, jazz is a music of communication. At its very core, this music affirms the belief in community, in love, and in human dignity. It is a wonderful gift that we have been given, and if we allow it, it can teach us in ways beyond our imagination exactly who we are, where we've been, and where we should be going. I hope you enjoy it.
Back to Georgia. I'll never go back to Georgia.
morning, everyone. On behalf of Reading's Office of Equity and Social Justice, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to our town's annual Martin Luther King Day celebration. It is good to be able to revive this tradition in person after the COVID break, and I hope you are as excitedly looking forward to this program as much as I am. Our theme for this year's celebration is peace and justice. In Dr. King's words, true peace is not the absence of tension, it is the presence of justice. We are all bound by our common humanity in aspiring for peace for ourselves and loved ones, and in our common faith that all are deserving of peace and fairness. I hope we can begin this day with gratitude for being in good health that allows us to be here today, with humility to acknowledge and appreciate the courage, sacrifice, and righteousness of all those that came before us, making the celebration of this day and everything that it stands for possible. And with curious self-reflection on what this means for each of us in this auditorium when confronted with everyday decisions and our commitments as a town that is inclusive and welcoming of all. Before we get started, I would like to acknowledge everyone in our town who volunteered time and effort to make this event possible, our donors and funders who generously contributed, and all our town leaders and staff who help make a difference every single day. Special thanks to Kathy Gayot and Dr. David Mosher, who have volunteered extra hours to help design the art displays outside and the cultural program, respectively. The MLK Day Planning Committee members who have helped pull this together, and members of the Reading Clergy Association. And last but not the least, of course, our beloved students who made time despite their very busy schedules. The event is also being recorded by RCTV and will be available in 2 to 3 days on their website. With that, I now hand off to our student MCs, Jeremiah Sanford and Sophia Ortiz.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jeremiah Sanford, and I'm the co-president of Students of Color and Allies for Equity, Justice, and Inclusion.
Okay. Good morning. I'm Sophia Ortiz, and I'm the fundraising coordinator for SOCA for EJF. First up, we have an interfaith invocation and choir by the Reading Clergy Association. Service through faith was an integral part of MLK's journey. And through this interfaith invocation and choir, we hope to reaffirm our commitment as a community to peaceful coexistence and solidarity for justice across multiple faiths.
Good morning, I'm Reverend Jamie Michaels, and on behalf of the Reading Clergy Association and the Houses of Worship in Reading, welcome. I invite you to join me in a spirit of prayer or reverence in accordance with your own beliefs as we hear this invocation. O Spirit of justice and love, with grateful hearts we come this morning to remember and honor the life and legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. May we enter this time with a willingness to be transformed. May we listen with hearts unguarded, with the courage to face the ways we have contributed to systems that harm one another. May we take up the mantle of peace, knowing that it is not an easy or comfortable work, that a just peace requires truth-telling, requires sacrifice, requires that we live in the truth that no one of us is separated from another, and that when justice and oppression exist for one, injustice and oppression exist for one, it threatens peace everywhere. May we today recommit ourselves to the work of peace made real in justice. May we work not just today, but every day to resist evil, injustice, and oppression in whatever forms they present themselves, so that justice may roll down like water and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. May it be so.
Justice roll down.
Next, we would like to introduce a performance of the African American National Anthem brought to you by the RMHS Mixed Choir, directed by choral director Dr. David Mosher. Did you know that the anthem was originally written as a poem by James Weldon Johnson in 1899 when Jim Crow laws terrorized black people in America? Johnson's brother, John Rosamond Johnson, put the verses to music. The anthem was first sung by 500 African American students in Jacksonville, Florida in February 12, 1900, as a part of a birthday celebration honoring Abraham Lincoln.
So as we sing this song for you, we actually want to invite you to participate in singing with us the African American National Anthem. Lift up your voice and sing. So if you're able, please stand with us as we sing. The lyrics will be projected on the screen in case you're not familiar, so let's join together and sing.
Next, we have a video clip of Martin Luther King's speech, "I've Been to the Mountaintop," compiled by RMHS faculty and ZOCA for EJI co-advisor Anna Cuevas. We ask you to take a few minutes to reflect on the depth of King's statements and the somber significance of this historical moment.
All we say to America is be true to what you said on paper. If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right. So just as I say, we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around, we aren't going to let any injunction turn us around. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing anything. My eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
It is with great pleasure that we, the students of RMHS, bring to you our student performance, Just Peace, From Pain to Endless Possibilities, a compilation of statements on courage, activism, and humanity by African American history makers in this country. Just peace requires acknowledgement and reconciliation for an unjust past. Only that can pave the way for emancipation and a future of power and endless possibility.
What to the slave is the 4th of July. Fellow citizens, I'm not one thing in spare for the fathers of this republic. What have I, or those I represent, to do with your national independence? Are the great principles of political freedom and of natural justice embodied in our Declaration of Independence extended to us? Your high independence only reveals the immeasurable distance between us, the blessing in which you, this day, rejoice and are enjoyed in common. The rich inheritance of justice, liberty, prosperity, and independence bequeathed by your fathers, shared by you, not by me. The land that brought light and healing to you, has brought stripes and death to me. This 4th of July is yours, not mine. You may rejoice. I must mourn. Frederick Douglass.
That man over there says women need to be helped into carriages and lifted over mud puddles and have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helps me into carriages or over mud puddles or gives me any best place. And ain't I a woman? Look at me, look at my arm. I have plowed and planted and gathered into barns and no man could heed me. And ain't I a woman? I can work as much and eat as much as a man. And when I can get it, bear the lash as well. And ain't I a woman? I have borne 13 children and seen most all sold off to slavery. And when I cried with my mother's grief, none but Jesus heard me. And ain't I a woman? Sojourner Truth.
The bus was among the first places I realized there was a black world and a white world. Rosa Parks.
It is up to all of us, black, white, everyone, no matter how well-meaning we think we might be, to do the honest, uncomfortable work of rooting racism out. Michelle Obama.
You can't separate peace from freedom because no one can be at peace unless he has his freedom. Malcolm X.
Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.
Prejudice is a burden that confuses the past, threatens the future, and renders the present inaccessible. Maya Angelou.
For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. Nelson Mandela.
It is not our differences that divide us. It is our inability to recognize, accept, and celebrate those differences. Audre Lorde.
We have to eradicate racism. Have to. And denying its current and past devastation won't help us do that. People who thwart truth-telling about how racism heavily influenced history and are today are only ensuring that it remains tomorrow, and that's very likely the goal. So, seek out your brothers and sisters of others and cultures and join together in building alliances to put an end to all forms of racial discrimination, bigotry, and prejudice. There are people of goodwill of all races, religions, and nations who will join you in a common quest for the betterment of society. Bernice King.
The cost of liberty is less than the price of oppression. W.E.B. Du Bois.
I am no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I'm changing the things I cannot accept. Angela Davis.
Justice is what love looks like in public. Cornell West.
We are students of color and allies in justice. We are the students of color and allies for equity, justice, and inclusion.
We would like to introduce Ms. Cheryl Lestrade, RMHS faculty and SOCA for EJI co-advisor, who will tell you a little bit about our guest speaker.
Good morning. Good morning. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all here. Thank you for coming on your day to sleep in, and it's snowing. Our guest speaker today is Lynette Marshall. Lynette Marshall was born and raised in Nyack, New York, the youngest of 6 children. Lynette earned her bachelor's degree from Dartmouth College in 1981. After 21 years as an early childhood educator in Nyack, Lynette served as Nyack's basic coordinator from July 2018 to July 2022. An initiative from Basics is an initiative from Harvard University Achievement Gap Initiative, partnership with the Black Philanthropy founded in Boston. In July 2022, she accepted the position of Director of Learning and Collaboration for the Flourish Collective, a racial and social justice nonprofit organization based in Danville, California, of which she is a co-founder. Lynette is married to James Marshall and is the mother of 2 children, Sophia and Nicholas. I'd like you all to please stand and welcome Lynette Marshall.
Everyone. Before I begin my remarks, I have to tell you that there are moments when you get a wink from our Creator, from the universe, that lets you know you're exactly where you need to be, where you're supposed to be. The final 2 quotes from these amazing young people are 2 of my top 5 favorite social justice quotes. The quote from Dr. Angela Davis, I was honored and blessed to hear her deliver herself recently when we heard her speak in Nyack. And then the quote from Dr. Cornell West was hanging on the office walls when I worked for our school district. So I am so happy to be here with you today. That's just this wonderful week. I'm deeply humbled to stand before you. And as I do so in this sacred space of honoring the life of Dr. Martin Luther King, I must first thank Dr. Sudeshna Chatterjee for this amazing invitation. She is inspirational, she is motivational, she is delightful to know and to join in pursuit of racial and social justice and equity. So I just want to thank her for her work here. It does leave me wondering, though. I asked myself, I wonder what I had for breakfast that day, what was I wearing the day that I met her. The day that I made an impression on her was a very good day, and I wish I could relive that day because it was quite impressionable for myself. The fact that we are here today and that I can also acknowledge one of your amazing residents and my dear friend and social justice sister, Lynn Peters, for introducing me to Dr. Chatterjee. I just want to say thank you so much to Lynn Peters as well. Aside from what you know about me in my bio, you might be asking yourself, so exactly who is she? Which is really okay, because I'd probably be asking myself that if I were in your seats. Well, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I am a friend whose first visit to Reading in the fall was in pursuit of social and racial justice for our organization, the Flourish Collective. It is indeed wonderful to be back in Reading, especially on this day. In the words of Congressman John Lewis, this is where good work is happening, as borne out by these amazing young people that we have seen and heard today. I'm sure that many or most of you may know the show, the musical Hamilton. The final number of Hamilton is a piece entitled Who Lives, Who Dies, Who Tells Her Story, in which each character makes a brief statement about their life, about what they've accomplished in their lifetime. Who lives, who dies, who tells your story? So if you're here today, and you hear my voice and your heart is beating, you are indeed alive. Spoiler alert, every one of us is finite in our humanity, and we will all die someday. The focal question remains, who tells your story? Some of the lyrics are, I ask myself, what would you do if you had more time? You could have done so much more if you only had the time. And when my time is up, have I done enough? Will they tell your story? I'm here today to tell you my story and to encourage each and every one of you to never underestimate your story, your life, your impact on the community and the world in which you live. Maya Angelou said, I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. You, each of you are that one. Today we're reflecting on this amazing concept that true peace is the presence of justice. Dr. King said, peace is not merely a distant goal that we seek, but a means by which we arrive at that goal. We do know what the lack of peace looks like, don't we? Ukraine, our United States Capitol on January 6, 2021, the senseless, brutal murder of George Floyd, and too many other Black people in our country. On a personal note, my 6'2" Black son, Nicholas, being pulled over by the Florida State Troopers for following his GPS onto an emergency vehicle-only ramp and calling my husband, James, and I in real time, our hearts pounding out of our chests, praying that our son would make it home alive that day, as we had the talk live over the phone with him. We'd had that talk many, many other times during the years, but never under such duress. Those minutes were anything but peaceful, but thankfully he did make it home safely, unharmed physically at least that day. I think James and I probably aged 10 years over those 10 minutes, but this is part of my story. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s story lives on. There are many Americans who hoped that his assassination would silence his voice, end his story, destroy his work for civil rights, equality, and justice for all. Thankfully, they were and they are wrong. We tell his story in celebration of his birth. He told magnificent stories, and he had magnificent dreams of the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners sitting down together at the table of brotherhood, of his 4 little children one day living in a nation where they would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Of the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning, my country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing, land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. He added, and if, this is a big if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. He said, and when this happens, and when we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, Black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, and I may add, Muslim and atheist, gay and straight, Republican and Democrat, we will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, thank God Almighty, we're free at last. And when I make that quote, I emphasize, he didn't say, I'm free, you're free. He said, we are free. This is collective because of the life and the love that we share together. Dr. King was an instrument for justice and for peace. His story inspires and challenges us today. He beckons for each of us to tell our story and to find our place in history. Some of us may play a leading role. Most of us will be supporting actors or extras, all of which are needed on this great stage of life as we pursue a long overdue, more just and equitable community, society, and nation. We are the peace. in the presence of justice doesn't come magically or accidentally. It comes intentionally and deliberately as we live in defiance of hate and ignorance and exclusion. As we live to, in the words of Maya Angelou, do better because we know better. We are the peace. Learning, unlearning, relearning, understanding, confession, forgiveness, and grace. There is no perfection here, ladies and gentlemen. We will never really arrive, but we move forward together one day, one relationship, one opportunity at a time to be the peace. We start with our families, right? Our neighbors, our community. The peace that we seek in those places, in those relationships, finds its way through unseen but very real streams and currents into far-flung places as we make this commitment to ourselves and to each other. Gandhi said, if you want real peace in the world, start where? With children. As an early childhood educator of 25 years, this resonates deeply with me in my soul. When I heard the author Dante Stewart speak recently, he said that from the moment a baby is born, they're finding their voice. Early childhood, what a magical time, the essential foundational years when babies' brains and spirits are fed, the framework for all future learning and for their awareness of themselves, their world, and the role that they play in it from the time they're born. And how time flies between the toddler years through elementary, middle, to high school. Allow me to share from the December 2022 Town Buzz Idea newsletter from here in Reading, which my dear friend Lynn Peters shared with me. The word of the month from the student corner group of the Reading Memorial High School for December was cultural humility. I'll define it as they defined it. Cultural humility involves examining your own values, beliefs, experiences, and biases through self-reflection and lifelong inquiry, and being curious and open to learning about others' values, beliefs, and experiences in order to develop mutual understanding, successful relationships, and cultural safety. Wow, I'm going to give a hand to that amazing group. And all of these incredible young people here in Reading. Like I said, this is where unbelievably good work is happening. This is monumental. Sometimes this being the peace may be in the form of random acts of kindness. Other times it may require that we move outside of our comfort zone, outside of ourselves, to reach the hand, to reach the life of someone unlike ourselves, to bring peace, to bring acceptance and love to another human being. These acts, this intentionality, is sometimes hard, but it is always worth it. And make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, this is love work we're talking about. In the words of James Marshall Hendricks, aka Jimi Hendrix, when the power of love overrules the love of power, the world will know peace. As we seek societal and world change, I recall the words of President Barack Obama. We are the change that we seek. We are the peace, ladies and gentlemen. My words, following his words there. Please indulge me for a moment. Please look to your left and tell your neighbor, you are the peace. Would you do that, please? And then you know what's coming next, because to every left, there's a right. Please look to your right and tell your neighbor, you are the peace. Excellent. I love reaching across the aisle in every way. I leave you today with these words of defiant hope, spoken by Dr. King at the National Cathedral just 4 days before he was assassinated. We shall overcome because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Will you, each of you, dare to imagine and to believe this with me as we bend this arc together and collectively open the door to a future characterized by peace and justice? God bless and rest your soul, Dr. King, and peace and justice to every one of you here today and to all whom you love. Thank you so very much.
Our next performance is Rise Up by the Mixed Choir.
You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Mountains, we gon' walk it out. Mountains.
leaders to join us and share their personal pledges to peace and justice. Just peace is not created by isolated moments of resistance, but rather by intentional and sustained community efforts and acts of solidarity. It is with great pleasure that we bring forward these community members who work tirelessly every day to move our community forward. We also request community members to hand over their leaves with messages of peace to our volunteers on their way down.
Alan Falls, town meeting moderator. In that role, I strive to allow as many voices as possible to be heard from various backgrounds, various perspectives, keeping in mind that the whole is always greater than the sum of its parts. We all have our own opinions, but we need to deliberate with honesty and open-mindedness.
State Representative Rich Haggerty, it's an honor to be here this morning. In our public policy, as we consider the vast decisions we make on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, considering diversity, equity, and inclusion on a regular basis, making sure that that's part of our decision-making constantly is something that I'll recommit to this morning. I'm so honored to be here with all of you.
Hello everyone, my name is Krista Melanakis. I am the Outreach Coordinator for the Coalition for Prevention and Support at the Reading Police Department. Today I've really been inspired, and I pledge to make peace a part of my everyday life by listening with compassion and listening with the intent to understand others and not simply with the intent of responding.
Hi, good morning everybody. Sarah McLaughlin, Reading Public School Committee member. I'm excited to be here today, inspired by everything that we've seen and all the words and spoken and sung. I pledge to advocate for equity and inclusion in our community.
Hi, I'm Erin Gaffin, also a member of the Reading School Committee, and I pledge to bring peace to our community by continuing to work to ensure that our schools are a safe, supportive, and welcoming environment for all students.
Hi everyone, I'm Autumn Henderson. I graduated from RMHS with the class of 2020, and for the last 2.5 years I've been writing a book about the men and women from Reading and North Reading that served in World War II. I strive to bring peace to this community by helping people understand the actions of the past and how they impact the foundation of our community as it is today.
Hi, I'm Laura Jolson, Reading Special Education Parent Advisory Board. For inclusive peace in our community, we will continue to work with parents and local leaders to support all students with special needs and promote communication across all local organizations to encourage understanding, acceptance, and inclusion of all students.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Carla Mazzaro. I'm with the Reading School Committee. Childhood should be a time of peace and innocence, and we should pledge to allow our children to enjoy this type of life by protecting them physically, emotionally, and socially. We as a community can offer to protect and support our children who have experienced trauma, hardships, and injustice, so they too can enjoy the peace and innocence of childhood.
Good morning, Lieutenant Pat Silva. I am the Reading Police Department Civil Rights Officer, and I pledge to be a voice for anyone who has been discriminated against or victimized simply for being who they are.
Kyung Yu, as a pastor of Korean Church of Nazareth, I'll continue to teach and preach Christian gospel, peace and love and forgiveness. As a community of faith of immigrants, children of immigrants, and descendants of immigrants who will enjoy the blessings of God, being faithful strangers in the community, and will share the blessings with the community with more active engagement.
Hi folks, my name is Gennady Pilaski. I'm a member of the Reading Climate Advisory Committee. I'm also a town meeting member representing 5th Precinct. I pledge to continue my engagement with the community, working collaboratively to identify and address issues that are facing our town.
Thank you. I'm Ilka. I'm a member of the board of Friends of Reading Metco, which is chaired by Cheryl Lestrade and Teresa Wiggins. I pledge to walk my dog, which sounds silly, but actually there's 3 reasons for that. The first is when I walk my dog, I connect with people in this neighbourhood that are outside my social circle. The second is I notice who is in this neighbourhood and who isn't. And third, walking my dog gives me the energy, the joy and the inner peace, which means that I can take action to connect more and do more, so this neighbourhood looks different. Thank you.
My name is Rabbi Perlman. For the teaching, the word shalom means hello, goodbye, and peace. But its root word is shalem, which means to be complete, to be totally connected to the Creator, complete with creation, knowing that God is pure love. Lasting love is not created by intellectuals. Even the most powerful intellect can be bribed from within and from without. Nor is it done by those who follow faith blindly. To be connected with all creation and with one another, to be truly connected to each other, requires vision and then action, and realize that we all share the same one great soul. Lasting love is the achievement of those who have made peace between the rigors of their mind and the simplicity of their visions and the conviction of their actions. Their vision is secured far beyond the whims of this world, yet their minds and eyes can see clearly what is happening down here on earth and what needs to be done. Lasting peace of spirit and meaningful love means to act justly in God's world and to creation and to understand we are all one family. In the words of Hillel, the great teacher who Jesus followed, love thy neighbor. It's not a suggestion.
My name is Tom Milichewski and I'm the superintendent of schools. My pledge centers around using student voice to create more inclusive learning environments for our students. I think that means that as a district, we support our students to find their voice, we create platforms for students to elevate their voice, and also that we, as a district and our schools, make decisions based on and centered around student voice.
Good morning, I am Fidel Maltese. I am the town manager here in Reading. This week, we were treated to a new sculpture in Boston. It's the Embrace, it's called, and I really do love it because it removes the individual, and it really centers the idea that we support each other. So I am supported by my wife, by my children, including Maya, and my entire community. So my pledge is to embrace a loved one, embrace a neighbor, and embrace someone in need. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Fillmore Phillip II. I'm a past Reading Memorial High School graduate, 2009. And so I guess I'd just like to say that our pledge is to no longer continue dreaming of the change for which we seek, to actually become it, because ideally a dream is just a thought without action. So truly, our pledge is to bridge the gap between some of the experiences that some of us have to experience in this world and educate the others who don't have to deal with the same experiences that we do. So that is my pledge. And I'm also the founder of Cato, the Coalition of Us, an organization based out of Reading dedicated to social justice. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Jackie McCarthy on the Reading Select Board. Dr. King's faith allowed him to see the mountaintop of freedom and peace in the face of hate, in the face of violence and white supremacy. So let's do our part in bending the arc of our history toward justice.
Hard to be the last person. I'm Cheryl Lestrade. I am a para-educator here at the high school. I'm a mother. I am the co-chair of Friends of Reading Metco, the co-chair of Cato, and my most important job here is as an advisor for the Students of Color and Allies for Equity, Justice, and Inclusion. And my pledge is to continue to educate our students and remind them that their voice matters. Thank you.
We would like to conclude with This Little Light of Mine, led by the RMHS Mixed Choir. We would like the audience to stand up and join and sing.
We also invite you all to take out your phones and turn on your flashlight.
We would like to thank everyone for coming today to celebrate this momentous occasion. We would like to take this opportunity to thank all of our donors and volunteers for making this happen.
We ask that as you leave here today, that you not only continue to share this message with your family and friends, but that you contribute to the tree of peace and justice. If you didn't get a chance to put your leaf on the tree, please put them in a box on your way out. If you would like to contribute and don't have a template, please let a volunteer know. If you know a student from RMHS and would like to join our social justice group, we meet Tuesdays during Flex in the library. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.